Chat Cave with Mike and Max.
Well, oh man, okay. it. I love getting together, Mike.
Yeah.
I love getting together with you. We are brought together today for just a tragic reason, and I'm not excited to do this one. Let's
No. I'm not
welcome.
excited at all either. This is honestly, we've done a lot of these types of episodes. In fact, these are the kind of episodes we sometimes end up reconvening for every couple of months. But this one feels really difficult to do. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Welcome to the Chat Cave. I'm Blacksmith's Pride of the Three Geeks podcast, and here with my great host and cohort, Mike McGee, YouTube.com, Mike McGee TV, for super awesome content and all the awesomeness. I'm just, yeah, I'm at a loss for words already, and
It's
it's a horrible day. We have lost one of the greatest voice actors of our time, and also just from my childhood, one of the greatest influences in my life.
yep.
I Kevin Conroy died, and it sucks. I mean, it fucking really sucks.
66 years old. Um God, I hate cancer so much. Um
Uh,
but yeah, I was already having a pretty overwhelming day just because of other things in life and stuff. And then I see this come across the news feed, and I'm just like, man, this one, it resonates a lot deeper than a lot of other, like I said, a lot of other people that we've commemorated in here, and their contributions to the mythology of Batman absolutely, it can't be understated what these people have brought to the legend of Batman and to the story of Batman. But this one, not only I feel is really prolific, but also it's much more personal than a lot of these other individuals, as great as they are. But like you said, this is childhood for you, for me, well into adulthood too.
I mean, yes, absolutely. His body of work for Batman alone is decades, and and yeah, I feel like I've grown up with this with this voice, with this guy being Batman, and I I am just, I'm deeply saddened. I'm very, I'm very vulnerable right now. It's just like
Hmm.
it's really hard to think that he's gone. I mean, and like I met Kevin Conroy once at a con, and like I mean, he was nice enough. He talked to me for a few minutes, and that was all well and good. But I mean, like, just like a good dude, and
Hmm.
the best, the best. He was the best. There,
Yeah.
there was no one else that, like, I mean, anytime something Batman came out, I'm looking, I'm like, is Kevin Conroy doing the voice? Because if not, then that lowers the bar for me.
Right.
And I just, yeah, I mean,
I mean, I said it in a post earlier because I'm still kind of processing it. And absolutely, yeah, his impact on who Batman is for me, and how much of his influence on the character permeates everything else that's Batman related. Like you said, when there are projects that don't include Conroy in them, I can't help but think what that performance would have been. I can't help but hear his voice in that role. When there's a comic out and I read it, if it even if it's not related to anything having to do with the animated series or anything like that, I still hear his voice. I hear his voice retroactively now in older Batman stories, like stories my dad used to read to me from like the 50s and 60s. Like,
yeah, like whenever I think Batman, even even in the movies, like yeah, I wish that they would, like, in the live action movies. I wish they would have just dubbed over Kevin Conroy's voice, because it would have been better.
yeah.
It's he was the best. he was the absolute best at
And
Batman.
not just at Batman too, but just all around. Like you said, you got to spend a couple of minutes with him. Like I'm very envious of that because I couldn't help but think about the Gray Ghost episode when Bruce Wayne at the very end of the episode gets to go have his videotapes of the Gray Ghost signed by his childhood hero, who's voiced by Adam West, another
Yeah,
Batman great. Um, and he's able to like communicate like how much his work meant to him growing up, and growing up the way Bruce Wayne did without parents, and how
right.
it's the only like semblance of a happy childhood he can recall is watching Gray Ghost episodes with his dad. And so like I remember that, and I'm just like, man, I wish I could have had that opportunity now. It's a big case of the I should have been in Ohio with you guys for that convention.
Yeah, like I was excited too because he was supposed to. The next con we're going to, Galaxy Con, he was supposed to be there, and I
Yeah,
was like, oh man, again, it's like I always feel a little weird at cons when
sure.
I go up and like talk to people because I'm just like, like I'm sure they don't really care, like it's it's got to be a bit of a job, like
Hmm.
okay, and like, but I always feel weird, but I'm like, I don't care, like screw all the awkwardness, like I'm gonna go see Batman.
Yeah.
Like, there's no chance where I'm not gonna go see Batman. I'm not gonna go hear him talk about playing Batman, like because he's just been at it since I can like. He's the reason I like Batman.
Yeah,
Like-
absolutely. He defined what Batman is and was for a whole generation and generations after too. Like I said, he was active in it right up until the end. Like I think the most recent thing he had done in terms of animation stuff was he was in like the animated film, which was like a continuation of Justice League. But even then, like, you go back to like the Arkham games or, any myriad of other like direct to video type stuff. You go back to the theatrical animated Batman stuff. Mask of the Phantasm is like one of, I feel, his finest performance. Like
Yep.
he put so much into his performance as Batman and Bruce Wayne in that movie, especially. Like there is so much going on with that character because it's allowed to be a little bit more mature and a little bit more compelling and dark compared to what it could be on Fox, and because it's able to explore some more adult themes, and he's allowed to play it up. But that's the thing, is like I never felt, sounds weird to say, I never felt talked down to when I ever heard his Batman speak. Like it never felt like a kidified version of something I was missing out on. Like that just genuinely felt like the character. And
Yes, absolutely. And then like even Batman Beyond, he's playing old Bruce Wayne. Like he nails that, and
mhm.
it's still that he brings that gravity with him. Um, it's Batman the Animated Series is one of the main reasons I love cartoons.
Mhm.
And this dude, without Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, I don't know that I'm the same person. Like
Right.
it, it's amazing to me, and I'm tearing up right now. Like
Dude,
I
I'm dried out from like this afternoon when I found out. Like I had a good kind of like 5-minute cry, and then I'm like, I have to go back to my other stuff, and then I immediately just came home and started watching episodes and having a cry at
yeah,
every episode, just because the line delivery and the characterization is just so good, and you can tell he cares so much about delivering his all to this character. Like you said, many decades later, like he never, if he was ever bitter about, I guess, being typecast as Batman, he never showed it. At least not to the public or to the fans.
right.
He always put his best foot forward and demonstrated a lot of poise and graciousness about being able to have an opportunity like that. And I never heard anything of him speaking ill of the work.
Yeah, no, he's everything I've seen, everything I've heard is him, just talking about the great cast and the great times,
Hmm.
and working out and developing this Batman. He's still the only one who uses the Batman voice as his actual voice,
That's just him.
and changes the Bruce Wayne voice to be, like a lighter thing, and that worked so well. And I don't know if if he kind of just like copyrighted it because like no one else, everyone else stays away from that. when they're doing their Batman, and
Sure.
it's still the best. He has the best Bat voice. He's got the best Bruce Wayne voice, and he figured out for himself how to make it perfect, and no one else has done it. Like, it's still anytime I hear somebody else voicing Batman, I'm like, this would be better. Kevin Conroy would do it. Like, there's just no way it wouldn't be better if Kevin Conroy was there. So I oh my goodness, yeah, like it sucks, man. Like,
It sucks. And I mean, the thing too about having that voice in your head at a very young age and growing up with it, and like as you get older, the more you become illuminated about who the person behind the voice is, who the person behind the performance is. And that's the thing, is like, there are certainly characters and presentations of characters that I've grown up with, and I'm like, yeah, I like them, I enjoy them, they're some of my favorites, but I never dig too far past that at a certain point in my life, because I'm just like, okay, well, that was a fun thing for that moment.
right.
This is the one where I was always curious to see what was going on with him and his life and so forth, and to hear about like just how selfless and pay it forward he was with what the goodwill Batman's supposed to represent. Like the stories of him providing meal and aid to responders after 9/11, like, and just dedicating a lot of his time to bring some kind of support and good feeling there with just his presence, because a lot of the responders grew up or knew who he was just based off of his voice.
Yep.
And so to be able to provide some kind of morale boost for them during that time, like, absolutely. And then did you read the segment he wrote for this year's DC Pride comic?
No.
I would recommend you go read it. It is an emotional, like, gut punch, but it is so well delivered. It's basically, DC Pride, it was about celebrating LGBTQ characters in the DC universe, and they each had like a little section to showcase. And instead of focusing on a character, Kevin Conroy wrote about his experiences up to getting the part in Batman, because Kevin Conroy had to very much kind of keep that side of himself hidden away from everybody else. He came from a really rough upbringing, as you hear in the story, and a lot of like challenges and a lot of like desire to kind of succeed, but also that he felt he had to hide who he was. He had to put on a mask, so to speak, when he started going into acting and so forth, and how much that scared him, and how much it scared him that people would find out and other him, essentially. It's a beautiful story that he's able to kind of chronicle in just a couple of pages, but it is also, it's heartbreaking too, to hear what he had to deal with early on in his career, up until when he met Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and all the people at Batman. And then he's talking, it's called Finding Batman, and basically it's about like, I know exactly what this character's voice is going to be, because this is my voice. Coming back to what you're saying, like, this is something I know very well when it comes to loss, when it comes to having to hide who you are, when it comes to having to, sequester off the part of you that is vulnerable and make it a quieter type of thing while presenting a boisterous kind of front. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
And
oh man, now I'm,
yeah, it's sad, and Kevin Conroy earned every one of his fucking tears. All right, like,
yeah,
it's you think about, just again, like, how many people were out there serving the first responders on 9/11? How many people? He happens to be fucking Batman. Like, but that didn't matter. Like, there's a higher call, and this dude answered every time he could. And when he could be a role model for his community, he took that, and it, it just fucking sucks, man.
yeah,
Like, I don't know that I can say it enough.
enough, yeah, yeah.
Like this is the worst of them. I never wanted to do this one.
I know. I'm sorry. As soon
Yeah.
as I messaged you, I'm like, I had a feeling too, because I'm like, you know what? We're so sporadic with releasing these, and it seems like, yeah, the past couple we've only gotten together to talk about the greats in Batman's, mythos. But I was also like, as much as this one's gonna hurt, as much as it's gonna be hard to say goodbye, I feel, you know what? This is the one that we definitely have to do, because this is what kind of spurred us to this point to talk to each other about Batman. Like our theme song is a parody of the Batman animated theme song. It's just me singing over my own voices, but I had that in
Yeah.
mind, because I'm just like, that's how big of an impact the show and his delivery of the character played on us. Like when you and I first started talking about our fondness for Batman and connecting on that level, that was like our first point to get to. It wasn't Adam West, it wasn't even like Dark Knight or anything. It was talking about the animated series and just how great it was.
I mean, just groundbreaking on. I mean, like it hit everything. It hit everything. It was good for kids to watch. You could put it on and you're like, okay, little Johnny is gonna watch this for the next hour and a half. It's gonna be no problem. It's good to watch as an adult. Like the art is amazing, the writing is amazing, the music is amazing, and then to put the cherry on top, Kevin Conroy.
Yes.
And then Mark Hamill, and then and all these, everyone who made it special and really took it to heart. And for me personally, Batman the Animated Series is the quintessential Batman. It never got any better than that. And yeah, man, like
Yeah.
it's just so sad. And then obviously, like I don't talk to Kevin Conroy every day. Like I'm not
Right.
I wasn't,
Sure.
like I'm just a freaking 40-year-old fanboy. But like you walk through your day thinking, okay, tomorrow Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill could be working on something that I am going to love.
Yeah.
And now there's no more tomorrow. Like it's.
I was wondering about this earlier, and because I know Mark Hamill, I know he kind of semi-retired from being Joker, due to after like the Arkham series was kind of finished. I kind of figured that was his, victory lap type of thing, and then he would just kind of semi-retire into it. But then he would come back on occasion whenever Kevin was involved in something.
Yes.
Like you ever notice, like
Yeah.
like he goes on to voice other characters certainly in other shows, but like he would only come back for Joker stuff if Kevin was his Batman. Like I think they were both in Justice League Action, which I only saw like clips here and there, but whenever I saw a clip, it was a Batman clip and it was Kevin Conroy playing Batman, albeit, a little bit of a lighter tone. But then you'd have Mark Hamill as Joker opposite him, even in The Killing Joke, which I don't think is a great adaptation, but they are definitely the highlights of him. Them and Tara Strong and just their performances are the highlights of going through The Killing Joke adaptation, because that is the dialogue you wanted to hear Hamill's Joker say to Conroy's Batman.
Yes.
And yeah, I think in a way, like this might be, because I just can't imagine hearing a Hamill Joker without a Conroy Batman opposite him. Like those two, like I feel those two definitely were a package deal. I don't know if Mark Hamill feels that way necessarily, but I would like to think so, because that just shows like how close their bond is, because they were.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And and that's what really sucks is like if Kevin can't come, like Mark probably won't, and I don't blame him. Like
Sure,
he's been doing it. Like there's no animosity or anything. It's just like. Yeah, like why? If I worked with Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman, I wouldn't want to work with anybody else either.
That's
I'm sorry.
That's your 5-star steak dinner. It's like, why are you going back to ramen?
Bologna. Yeah, bologna and ramen. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah, if I'm eating freaking Gordon Ramsay every night, I'm not going back to Domino's.
I think. But also, I think that not just with regards to like his performance, but also then we're kind of, I know we're kind of like circling the wagons a lot on some different topics, but yeah, so far what I've seen in a lot of like tributes and social media and things like that is that no one has a bad thing to say about the guy.
And that's
His Justice League co-stars have nothing but the sweetest things to say. Downtown Clancy Brown is like, you kicked the door open for all of us to get involved in this awesome world, so thank you. And like his Susan Eisenberg's post kind of got to me a little too, because she was his Wonder Woman opposite act, and so like it was very touching and so forth. And she acknowledges not only that he was just a great vocal presence, but like just a funny guy too. And
yeah, that's and you know, like they always say like don't meet your heroes and all this crap. It was like
I wanted
that
to
dude.
meet, yeah,
Oh, you can meet that dude. Like,
yes,
and he would not let you down. You know, and like you can see it when I went and I talked to him again. You know, it's like I'm just some asshole, and you know he'd met like 50 of me before I got
Mhm.
there, and still like you know took the time to like hear me gush about you know him being Batman and just gracious and very nice and you know like I've met people who were you know who were tired who were you know tired of it
You're
and
right.
and again like I can't blame you if this is your job like you know doing the same thing over and over again having the same freaking conversation over and over again. I'm sure it can get to you like but this dude, you would not even know him for a second. He was so humble and just a nice dude, 100% through, and you could tell.
Yeah,
And yeah, we're down one more nice guy. Like that sucks.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, if anything, I was thinking like how would we approach this, and I don't know if I can pick one favorite Conroy Batman moment necessarily. I have something to kind of wrap up on, certainly, but yeah, it's hard to imagine, not just the sake that like from here on out we're not going to hear that voice anymore, but also from here on out that presence won't be felt, or at least it won't be immediately, felt in Batman related stuff for a long while. That, like I said earlier, that professionalism, that poise, and that graciousness, it's going to be dearly missed. In how someone became an ambassador for a character like this and owned it, much like the way Christopher Reeve owned up
Yes.
the Superman mythology, even after like his accident and all the things he had to go through in his life. Like he embodied the principles of what Superman's supposed to be, and people never forgot that. Like that's what Kevin Conroy is for me, and I'm sure that's what Kevin Conroy is for you. He's our Christopher
Absolutely.
Reeve for Batman. Like I'm not going to forget one line of dialogue or one word, but I'm also not going to forget just how how again gracious and kind and thoroughly invested in his work and his life he was. So any other thoughts?
Uh I just want to like one little other thing. It's, the
Sure.
guy could sing. He could
we're
sing.
we're gonna
And there was also that I mean just the talent of this man was amazing. And he I'm just gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss him so terribly much. Like
me
that's
too. Me too. Well, on that note, we already threw out the mutuals there and so forth. Certainly check out more of Max on the Three Geeks podcast and 3geeks.ninja and so forth. You can always catch me here on YouTube. I don't know, man. I feel bad that every time it has to be someone passing away that we have to get together on
yeah,
this.
we
I,
need
I'm
to
we need to do this more for Kevin. For Kevin,
yes,
we need to just
absolutely.
we need to just exude our fandom for Kevin now at this point.
For
But
sure.
as opposed to our typical kind of send off here, I have something queued up if you want to listen to it with me. It's funny you mentioned that. This is a little send off for Kevin, who Max already mentioned was not just a great actor, but a phenomenal singer too. And what better way than his rendition of Am I Blue, which was song in a Justice League episode where Batman sings. And that's the thing, he made Batman singing not just plausible, but so beautiful.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and have Kevin take us out with a little Am I Blue?
Am I blue? Am I blue? Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you? Am I blue? You'd be too if each plan that you made done fell through.